Welcome to AlleyOopDunks episode 8. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Konstantinos. Hi, everybody.
We had another round 7 for Euroleague with very important games and very some upsets during this round. Um, should we go forward and check how the round was?
Yeah, definitely a strange round, as we will talk about it, because we had the first round that it was split into 3 days due to the Italian derby had to be played earlier on a Wednesday. That game actually, I have to say, was not the most enjoyable game to watch, but at least they had Theodosic, and we had some vintage performance for him. He had some bangers 3-pointers, 5 out of 6 3-pointers. He actually made a difference in this game, and Virtus had a great away win.
Yeah, and he scored, I think, a buzzer beater as well, right?
Yes.
For the
He
buzzer
was
beater.
all over the highlights. I think the Virtus fans were very happy.
They saw the old Milos, let's say, the old Teodosic.
Yes, and this year, he has. It seems that he's getting on, scoring and being productive on way less minutes. He's very effective, so it's a really good to see at this age that he can be on the top of his game, especially with the whole incident in Serbia
Mhm.
when he wasn't included in the national team.
That's true. Mhm.
Now, if I move to the to Thursday games. We have Fener playing Cervena Zvezda, and the score says 93-79 for Fener, but I think it's not telling us the truth, the score, as I believe we had a better game from the Serbians. They actually managed to have effective defense on the Fenerbahce guards, especially for the first 30 minutes. We see Wilbekin giving negative score on fantasy, and we see Kalathis having 6 assists and 6 turnovers. But there was a Motley factor.
Mhm.
Motley Motor was going on, and he was really unstoppable. Fener took that game in the end with the quality. We also had some very good game from Mahmutoglu and his a new EuroLeague career from himself. But I think what it really decided the game was Motley, unstoppable force, that he's becoming increasingly one of the top centers in EuroLeague.
And he's a rookie in EuroLeague. Last year he was playing in Euro Cup, I think, with Lokomotiv Kuban, and he was spectacular last year. So this year, of course, he wanted some time to adjust, but now he's picking up, his performances and his game. And as you said about Crvena Zvezda, we have to say that they have a new coach. Despite they played really well versus Fenerbahce, team decided to go with a different coach. So Dusko Ivanovic, welcome back to EuroLeague, and wish all the best.
Yeah, to be honest, I think they actually have a very nice line of guards, especially offensively. The duo of Vildoza and Nedovic. I think we're gonna see better stuff, and probably Cervena Zvezda making some upsets in the following games. We'll see. Then, if I move to the big game, Real FS. To be honest with you, I didn't manage to watch that specific one, but just looking at the stats, I picked on two things. The assist turnover ratio. We had Real having 23 assists for 9 turnovers. FS has 13 assists for 11 turnovers, and this is something reoccurring for FS. We know Kleiber and Misic really occupy the ball and take all the shots. Even Ataman at a point, I think he said that we need to be more including and inclusive in our offense. And just a statistic then here. So on that game, Clyburn had 17 shots, Misic 11, and Zizic 8. So together, these three had 36 shots. The rest of the team have just 21 shots. So the balance is not great. But, early days for FS, we see how it goes. And then I think it was an important win for Real. Because there are some shadows around Matteo. So it was a very needed win, and I think they were happy in Madrid to get that one.
Yeah, it was a big win for Real Madrid, but unfortunately they lost Yabusele to an injury. That was the downside of the day of that night for Real Madrid. Probably he will miss 1 month, they say. So we'll keep you updated with the latest update for the recovery of Yabusele.
Yeah, hopefully he's back shortly. Then on the Olympiacos Partizan, I mean, this game you cannot really comment too much about it. We talked about the situation for this one on the previous episode. And, Olympiacos had 11 players on the floor. They all played more than 10 minutes, and Partizan had just 7 players that played more than 10 minutes, actually played most of the game, and then 2 players with, I think, 8 and 1 minute each of them. So I think this is the effect of the FIBA windows played in the middle of the EuroLeague calendar. Is not a great thing. We've seen many strange stuff happening. We've seen, Misic not been allowed to get
To join the
into
national team.
Serbia to play against Turkey, and actually that, it's strange that Ataman is his coach, is also the coach of Turkey that were playing against Serbia. So it's not a good look. I'm not saying that Ataman did that. I mean, the official info is that FS didn't allow the player to go. This whole thing is just not great. We've talking about this the last 4 or 5 years that is happening, and I've seen also FIBA getting its banners and in social media advertising all the teams that they have been into the World Cup. And in these pictures they depicted the star players. Well, almost none of them that they are in these pictures played in these windows, that they actually gave these teams a chance to follow through. And I think it's not fair for the players that they actually sacrifice themselves and through the calendar of I don't know, whatever, if it's national championships, if it's Europe championships, they just go there and they play some more games. So I think it's not fair for them not to be in these photos or not to be advertised as well. So this whole thing, I don't know. I hope it's been fixed at some point in the future. Many basketball fans that were talking about this week.
I know it's a big discussion, a big topic, and I think with the case of Message of what happened, and with Partizan, that Partizan allowed some players to join, their national teams, but they did not allow other players to join their national teams. I think this will create a controversy on the background, because now it's not about FIBA and EuroLeague, but now we're talking about players and teams. So you see that this issue is becoming bigger and bigger. So the best is to find a solution quickly for the teams and especially for the players, because if you think they are playing non-stop, they're playing EuroLeague, they're playing on their national leagues, then they played in Eurobasket, so they don't have a break. Now, if you put them also to play on the windows for qualification, that only brings them more minutes, and that may result in some cases in injuries, knock on wood, and that will not end well, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess enough with this FIBA rant from
Yes,
our
let's
side.
go back to EuroLeague.
You're
yes.
here for EuroLeague. So the next game was Alba Berlin, FC Bayern, and again, we've seen EuroLeague adding most of the games around the same time. So I didn't have a chance to watch that game either. I don't have much commentary on that. It's just that. I think it was Bayern, 10 points ahead in the end of third quarter, then just hung on there and took the win. But I really didn't have much background on that one. It seems like a close game. I think mainly we have Walden been more productive than Winston, because we've seen Winston being the power the previous nights, but this time was Walden.
Walden.
So it's good to see him picking up again.
Yeah.
Then on the next game,
I just want to add one thing. I know again it's not good news, but before the game, Alba informed about Olinda's injury, so they had the main player was not participating, not playing in the game. So again, speedy recovery for Luis Olinda, and get back on the court to continue performing high level as he does.
cool. Yeah, and then Maccabi Barca, that was a close game and a really nice game to watch. Maccabi fought till the end, but Barca, took that, saw the quality and the manners to close the game effectively, and I think they're getting into a rhythm and being quite better compared to how they start the season. On the Asvel Zalgiris, we had two teams that, as I describing on the previous episode, they did big comebacks on the second half on the previous games, and they won. This time we had a close game pretty much until the end of third quarter, and then we have Zalgiris doing a 9-24. And they just took on the game and they never looked back for another around very strong fourth quarter from Zalgiris. We had Dimsa having 5 out of 6 3-pointers. So a new hero for Zalgiris there.
That's true.
And then going into Friday games, just 2 games, we had Pau winning quite easier at least than we thought. Baskonia. Pau had an amazing second half. Panathinaikos scored 60 points in the second half, and they were behind at half, 38-43. I think what is important to mention is Walter's help on that win. He only played for 16 minutes, but he managed to get 7 assists, only had 1 turnover. He scored 9 points. He had 4 rebounds, from which 3 were offensive. So key player, although it's not very easy to see in the stats, I think it was a key player to change the rhythm and really get things going for Panathinaikos.
Yeah, he impacted the game in other ways despite scoring. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
because I think Dwayne Bacon was the top scorer. Also, Derek Williams scored a lot of points, but Walters was the guy that orchestrated the whole, comeback, and he was the main point for the Panathinaikos.
And finally, what a game to end the EuroLeague week. Valencia having another win and versus Monaco. And here we have a different tale. So last week we said that Monaco needed the duo Lloyd James to score at least 20 plus points. This time Lloyd was still there, was 24 points. He had 3 out of 3 field goals. He had 25 fantasy points, performance points, but it wasn't enough. Why? Because his duo, his other half, James, was not in a good night. He had 1 out of 6 2-pointers, 1 out of 5 3-pointers. He couldn't really buy a basket. And then on the other side, you had Chris Jones taking over the game, another difficult game. Chris Jones, Cape Front, he scored 27 points, 5 out of 7 3-pointers, 5 out of 8 2 points, 2 out of 2 free throws. He had 33 points in the performance system. What an amazing game. And, he was on a mission, but he had at least the help of Webb, that he's increasingly becoming more important for Valencia. He had 15 points and 8 rebounds. Webb with 3 out of 4 3-pointers, a good help. But yeah, Chris Jones, I think he's having the hot hands the last couple of weeks, and we hope he can continue this way. At least he has the quality.
He has the quality, definitely has the skills and the quality. And I think this Valencia team, they are starting to mesh well together. So
yes, and I just wanted to say, on our first episodes, we were mentioning how Mumbrú was not feeling very, maybe was not, haven't decided yet where
Mhm.
to go. We've seen the players all having a similar time, around 20 minutes, and was just shuffling things around, wasn't sure. I think he's now have things very clear in his mind. We can see the roles in the team better, and also, we have Rivero probably coming back.
Yeah, for round
Um,
8, probably. We don't know
that
yet.
will be another great weapon on Mumbrú's hands.
Mhm.
And I think saying about Mumbrú, I guess is a good idea for us to go into the coaches and have a look of how we've done on last round and what are our solutions for this round.
Mhm.
So um,
Let's move to our Twitter account. So,
yes.
yeah. So you see from the coaches that we suggested for round 7, from the top tier was Itudis, and I think it was a good choice. Then Bartzokas from mid market, again, a big win for Olympiacos. So again, you will get 20 points if I'm not
So
mistaken.
yeah, it was 20 points from Itulis and 25 for Bartzokas as they won by
25.
29.
Mhm.
Yeah, 29 points.
But then we also said from the deep value market, Penaroya and Gonzalez. Well, both teams lost, Baskonia and Alba. So from the deep value market, not very good choices, but at least from the top tier and mid market, I think these two coaches they gave enough points to your team.
Yeah, and going into this round,
Mhm.
I think we're gonna stick with to this for one more game on the top rank. He's now costing 9.7. We had the ability, whoever bought him last time had the ability to get him with a bit of discount, but he's back on 9.7. He's playing at home, so would expect to continue in winning ways. As you can see, they've only lost against Barcelona, and that was on our way home. At home, they are scoring actually 20s mainly.
Mhm.
Um, and then we have another solution from this market, and that's Matteo. I think these last two wins with difficult opponents like Armani, Milano, and the FS probably will give a boost on the confidence of the team. So playing at home against Berlin, that also comes from quite many defeats, so a little bit out of rhythm, seems like a good opportunity for Real to keep on winning ways here.
Yeah, and build a winning rhythm and find a rhythm and be on the winning path.
hmm Um, then, if I go on the mid-market solutions, we have here, let's reduce that to below 8 then. So we have here Obradovic, Sasa Obradovic. We had the defeat, as we described earlier, against Valencia. That was away from home, but they are back at home and they're playing Baskonia. As you can see, in France, they haven't. Sorry, in Monaco, they haven't lose a game. They haven't lost a game yet. So they won against FS. They won against Cervena Zvezda, and now is a third game against Baskonia. Probably also James will be able to come back strong, and with that in mind, that's our solution for the mid market with 7.7 credits. Going into then the solutions from the deep value market, so let's say anything less than 7. There are many good solutions here, but in reality we want a codes that you can't see here. That's quite strange, you would say, but yes, we just talked earlier about the addition of well, not the addition, but the replacement of Cervena Zvezda's coach. So Ivanovic, you don't see in this screen, but if you go on your teams and you want to replace the codes, you will find him with 5.3 credits, the most cheap codes. They're playing against as well, and they're playing at home. Usually when teams change the codes, and as we said, they didn't have a really bad game. They were playing with the first in the stands. Usually when they do that, they actually get more momentum and confidence, and they come on winning ways. And also, I wanted to say that Ivanovic worked before with his main guard, Vildoza. So we think that's probably the best solution from this deep value market.
Yes, because keep in mind that he will want to start with a victory, with a win at home court, and we all know, I think, how competitive Dusko Ivanovic is as a coach. So I think he will find a way to get the W, to get the win in his first game.
Correct. And I guess with that, Konstantinos, do you want to move forward to the guard section?
Yes, so for round 7 again, from top tier market, we suggested Mike James, Slukas, and Howard. So out of these 3 guards, I think Slukas had the best game. Howard and James were not. James, as Bill said, could not buy a basket in Valencia, and Howard, he started playing well versus Panathinaikos, but then in the second half, Panathinaikos just went on the court to get the W. So I
Yeah,
think we limited him.
I mean, he still scored 20 points, but in terms of fantasy, that gave only 14, and
Yeah.
James only 13 points. But then we had Slukas, giving us 27.5, an amazing return in just 27 minutes of playing. Had 17 points, he had 8 assists, and on the mid market, we had another player that I think we continuously provided here, and that's Evans. We said he's the motor for Zalgiris, and with Zalgiris being on winning ways, Evans is giving back quite much. He gave 27.5 fantasy points with only 9.9 credits. He had amazing game. He had 12 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, only 3 turnovers in 27 minutes. So it was a great one to see. And then we also have a very good choice with Smith from the deep value. He gave 15 fantasy points. He scored 20 points in 25 minutes against, for Berlin. Although they lost, he was quite good. And then we had a bit of a problem with the other 3 suggestions. As Wisdom, I mentioned earlier, he didn't get the time he used to get. Probably, I think that's because of Walden stepping up. So he only scored 6.6 points in 14 minutes. And, we had Madar not making it. He played 15 minutes, but he wasn't as productive as we wanted. And the same Procida, he got the minutes, 21 minutes, but he only scored 2 points and got 3 rebounds.
Yeah, but they both had the chance to perform in high level, to be honest. But I understand Madar was playing versus Olympiacos in Piraeus, so not home court, so maybe he was affected with the atmosphere. Also, not enough players for Zeljko Obradovic to do his rotation. And I think Procida, yeah, it was a good game for Procida. I mean, good game, good chance to have a good game, but yeah, at the end he falls short. But I think he can bounce back. He has the quality and the talent, of course.
Definitely. So with that, I guess you can walk us through our suggestions for this round.
Yes, of course. So for round 8, from the top tier market, we have 3 choices. The first is Mike James, because we think he will bounce back. He will have a good game at home court versus his former club, Baskonia. So I think it will be a good game for Mike James to, show that he is back. Then we cannot forget Slukas. I think Slukas is he has found his rhythm. He is the main pillar of Olympiacos, both creating and scoring. So he is the main, the focal point for his team. So we think it's a good chance for him to have another good game, to perform on his standards. I think the lowest points credit fantasy points wise, I think was 18. Oh no, 15.4 versus Barcelona. But
Yeah.
still, even this is not very low. It's 15.4 points. But
Yeah.
if you see, he just performs on the high level every game, in every game. And then our last from top tier market suggestion is Chris Jones. Chris Jones, I think he has taken Valencia on his back and says, "Okay, I am here. Let me do my thing." And what he does is very, very effective, fantasy wise, and for his team as well, because you see a different Valencia compared to the beginning of EuroLeague. So if you see with his credits were 12.60, now are 13.50 from what I see. So you see one almost one credit increase on his value. That shows that he is on the rise, definitely on the
Yeah, he
rise.
started with 11.5, now it's 13.5. I guess there are 2 points here to make. One is about last year and that he had next to him Okobo. So, he wasn't signing as much, although whoever was watching, he could clearly see that Jones was, rising up. And now that he's the star of the team, he's going places.
Mhm.
Then the second point is probably this is a tough game at Virtus. Virtus is a very defensive team, and we know they have the players to actually, play overplay, like Lundberg, for example. So he has a difficult matchup. But as you said, since round three, he is giving 20 points or more.
Yes,
So it's difficult to forget about him at this point. We
Mhm.
have to include him on this list.
That's true. That's true. And then we can move to mid market
Mhm.
options.
So I guess I'm going down to 10 credits.
Mhm.
There we maybe let's sort by credits. Mhm.
Yeah. So if you see now, because the mid market has 10 or less credits, we cannot include, for example, Evans because his value is 10.6.
Yeah.
But it's still, if you want, is one of the choices that you may select if you want. So from the mid market, one player that, as you said, will reunite with his former coach from Crvena Zvezda is Vildoza, the Argentinian guard. He's starting to get adjusted to the team. He's starting to know team players, and they are meshing well with him. If you see, he gets the playing time because he is very quality guard. 28 minutes versus Fenerbahce and 26 versus Monaco. Um, and if you see, he is creating a lot. Like you see, he has a game with 6 assists, for example, 2 games with 4, but also scoring as well and takes rebounds. So he can affect the game in several ways for Crvena Zvezda. And I think a game versus Villarban is a good chance for him to show again that he's top tier guard for EuroLeague team.
Definitely.
And then after Vildoza, we have to welcome back because he was injured. Is Mitrulong from Armani. He was injured, so that's why you see 0 until round 5. But the last 2 rounds that he came back, you see that he's scoring more than 10 points in both games. He's grabbing 2 or 3 rebounds. as you see, and he's having 4 assists for each game. So you see, versus Real Madrid, he got um, versus Real Madrid, he had 11 points and 4 assists. And versus Virtus, 13 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds. I think Mitrolong came to the right moment
Mhm.
because he is a good, and I'll say, weapon on Messina's hands. He he came into the team, so he tried of orchestrated the team to have the correct path, and it's very good to see rookies in Euroleague with this talent. And as you see, he had 19 and 24 minutes playing time. So I think he will, again, on the next game, he will have more than 15 minutes playing time because he's that important to the team.
I think we
And
had another solution there. I have to go
yeah,
further to find him, but here he is.
yes, Jalin Smith from Alba Berlin. As you see, he's 8.1. His value is 8.1 credits. But you see, Jalin Smith, the last games, he gets 22, 25 minutes. But you see, he is scoring. He's very productive in scoring. But also, if you see against Zalgiris, he got 6 rebounds as
So,
well. No, don't worry. It's okay. But you see that he is becoming, I think, in a way, because Ericsson is still injured, so he's becoming that guard for Alba. Maudolos also is injured, so they have Tamir Blad, who is more of pass first guard,
yes.
to create for others. Jalin Smith is taking the role of the scoring guard for this
Exactly.
Alba team, and he's performing really well. So I think with 8.1 credits is a good choice to have on your team. And from the deep value market, we have um, two choices. First, we have Larantzakis with 6.3 credits. Larantzakis had a bad game versus Valencia, but we also read some news that he was recovering from an injury, so maybe he was not 100% um, healthy to be back. And if you see versus Partizan, he had 14.3 fantasy wise points. And again, he's back into double digit scoring with 14 points. And he gets the playing time he wants. So with 6.3 credits, I think is a steal with these numbers to give to your team, fantasy wise.
Hmm. And then
And
we have a veteran, right?
yes, yes, EuroLeague veteran uh, with 5.4 credits is Mahmutoglu. You see, versus Srana Zvezda, he had 20 points, 1 assist, 1 steal. So he was on fire. He was very effective.
Yeah.
He is the typical shooter. And you see, he played 17 minutes and scored 20 points.
Yeah, I
So
think I wanted to mention that he's clearly getting a role in the team, and that's the role of a player that gets in and do the scoring when the team stuck. So he's not gonna get the most minutes, but I mean, it was obvious since the game with Barcelona that he's getting into that role and he's adjusting well. Now we just, it's a risky one. We just need to see that this will be the case also with against Panathinaikos. But we all know about his quality in terms of scoring, so he definitely can do. So if he's in the zone, 5.4 is quite low. Even if he gets you less than 10, like he could get with the Barcelona, the 9 fantasy points is still a big win with just 5.4. It's difficult at this, a fantasy game less than 6 credits to get back double digits.
true, true. And because you need to, every credit matters to your league fantasy. So with 5.4, I think is a good, risky but good choice to have on the bench in your team.
And with that, I'm getting back to it from last week and our suggestions, and we get into forwards. We finally nailed the top market for forwards. So Vezenkov gave 27.5, Ponitka gave 18.7 fantasy points. He had 15 points. He had 3 steals. So very good round game from Ponitka. But then we had a disaster in the mid market. Smith's bomb minus. He got minus 1.8. Yeah, not a great game. Olinde, he was in our team, started 5. I guess we're gonna talk about this later. And we just learned before the game, and as I showed at the start of this episode, we had 3 days fixtures, and their game was not on the first day. So just before the game, when the teams have already locked, there was an announcement from Alba that he's injured, as you mentioned earlier, Konstantinos. But it's a big. It was a big hit for us, and I think for many people that got him in their team. So DNP, and then in the deep value market, we had Marinkovic, and we had Sedekerski. Sedekerski's in 24 minutes of playing. Although his team didn't do great, he had 7 points, he grabbed 7 rebounds, and he gave double-digit 12 fantasy points. So not too bad in that aspect. Now, in terms of this week's suggestions, of course, something that we're saying from day one, Vezenkov. So I'm not going to repeat myself. We don't know if he's expensive or not, because with the way he plays, he's the fantasy MVP till now. So I think it doesn't really mind how much credits you give to get the fantasy MVP. You see, his worst scoring was plus 16 versus Monaco. So we are thinking they have a difficult game at in Germany at Bagher Arena Olympiacos. So they should have Vezenkov as their main point for one more game. Then we have Clyburn returning on the suggestions. Well, there is not much to say. He's as you can see here, he's scoring 19.3 points on averagely and 21 fantasy points. He's grabbing rebounds, he's giving assists. He's actually the duo with misses that everything for FS going through their hands. So we cannot ignore Clyburn as an option with 15.1 credits. And then our last option for the forward position is, let's see if we have him here. Yeah, on the bottom of the screen we can see Deck. So Deck, he's giving back 18.9 fantasy points. He's only 12 credits, so his value didn't increase game on game, so that's good news for whoever didn't have him already. He gave 2 games with 14.3, and then if you look before that, he had the explosion of 34 and 25.3. Versus Berlin, I think is probably a chance for him to get that going again and score some more fantasy points.
True, and also to add the absence of Yabusele, so he will get maybe more playing time. So it's a big chance for him to get more fantasy points.
Mm-hmm. And then going into mid market, we will have. Let's see. I don't see him on my screen for some reason, but we have Bacon from Panathinaikos. Let me just type here on player. Yeah, I think Let me see. Let's get on to the other ones first. We have Ulanovas. That's a risky situation probably, but we can't ignore the way he's playing. He scored double digits. You see 18.7 and 25.3 fantasy points on back-to-back games. Actually, with Barcelona, he had another great game. So he's showing his quality for this Zalgiris team. And with Armani, they will need him on his top game in Kaunas in order to get the win. I said risky because he's a difficult opponent, Armani. So we see how that goes, but it's definitely a good solution on below 10 credits. And then another player that I mentioned earlier about his contribution was Webb. And as you can see, lately he scored in double digits, and we think he's getting a more active role, a more important role in this Valencia team. You can see his minutes, how they jumped. So at Virtus, they have a very difficult game. He has a difficult matchup, but one of the important factors for Valencia would be Webb as a role player can do very well. And then if I go to the deep value market, we have, so below 8 credits, we can see Sedekerskis. We had him last week. I think we will stick with this suggestion, as with 7.9 credits, he's returning 11.5 fantasy points, and he's scoring 8 points on average. So also gets the playing time. The game is at Monaco, so he needs to be on the top of his game, as will be a very tough one. But as you can see, he's consistently getting at least around 20 minutes of playing time. And then the last option on this deep value, I think, is Zusman with 6.9 credits. He averages 9 fantasy points. He's scoring 7.4 points for Berlin. He has a tough game away at Real in Madrid. But with 6.9 is probably the best solution. As you can see, he hasn't given any negative till now. And from round 3 onwards, he had 3 out of 5 games with double digits. And Konstantinos, I think we can move to the guards, or?
Yes, just to mention that the other option for mid-market was Dwayne Bacon from Panathinaikos. With 9.9 credits. We have read some news that he has he's feeling ill, he's feeling unwell. We don't know the status now if he's playing or not, so we suggest that you may check regularly for any updates, and we will of course provide any update. I think if you, instead of all rounds, if you select round 7, then you will see Dwayne Bacon.
That's an epic bug, I would say. Yeah.
I think so. I'm not sure. Now you may,
Yeah, he's there. So another solution that has been hiding behind the curtains, the same way we couldn't find Ivanovic, but still we love this game, right? So there it is, Bacon with 9.9. A very good solution in a very tough game. Cool. And with that, I think I can move.
And now, it's time now to open the curtains. I think, yes. So the stage is ours now.
Let's go back to the results from the center. Konstantinos, I think that was the first time since we started this that our center suggestions didn't, go so amazing. I mean, we did have Motley that, if you selected him, then yes, that was amazing.
Motley saves today, I think, from all centers.
How much was it? I think 33, 36,
33,
something like that.
Yes,
Yeah, like that. Exactly. And Lesort, 19 points.
Yeah, in a big game. Big game as in sense of a crucial game versus Olympiacos, and only with a small rotation from
But
coach.
if a player in a team that they're losing by 29 points can score 19 performance points when he plays pretty much the whole game, that tells a lot, I think, about his ability to do the fundamentals. And Lesort is all about fundamentals. Scoring some points from close, having positioned his body well to grab the rebounds, not making many mistakes, playing good defense with some blocks. Whoever see him is not gonna lose his mind with his technique, but I think he does many things on a very good level.
Hmm. Hmm. He made the small things, that matter in a
Exactly.
good way.
And so we mentioned the two great ones, so they were all on the expensive the top rank market, and then
Yeah.
Tavares was a
No.
letdown. He didn't get enough minutes.
Hmm.
21 minutes only 8 points score, so 8.8. Yusupafol, he gave us back a double digit 10, but we've been suggesting Yusapa for pretty much since the start, and he is consistent. So although it's a double digit, still we are not very happy with the result.
Yeah, we're used to from Yusufa Fall for to give 15, 17 fantasy points. Now he
Yeah,
gave only 10
yeah,
this round. Not bad, but not the best. It's when you see 10, it's like, but I spent 10 credits, so then
yeah.
that's the dilemma. And then also Harris with 8.8 credits at the thing, he didn't have a good game versus. It was a good chance for him, but Othello Hunter returned on that game,
Yeah, yeah.
so he
Only
didn't have
nine,
enough.
only 9 minutes. Yes, he played
Yeah,
only 9 minutes. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, he didn't have the time to perform and to be productive. And then from deep value Kumaje, I think it was his second uh, game with a single fantasy points. I
yeah.
think so. So
Consecutive. He had plus
consecutive,
two the
yes.
round before, and now he had plus four. But again, his minutes dropped. He only had 10 minutes. So
Mhm,
similar situation with Harris here
mhm.
for this market. But what about this week? This week, Konstantinos. What do we have here?
So from the top tier market, uh, well, I start with Motley. I have to start with Motley.
Let's keep the
Uh,
winners.
so Motley with 14.8 credits is of course our suggestion because he's playing again home court game versus Panathinaikos, and I think it's a game that also he did not play during the qualifying windows now, so he will be rested. But is another opportunity for him, the Motley factor, as Bill said, to be shown on the court again and see why Motley is very valuable to this team. Don't forget that Fenerbahce last year had Vesely at center, so it had a EuroLeague veteran, one of the greatest players and one of the greats in EuroLeague this last season and this season. And Motley had to, big shoes to fill. But he's starting to doing this. So with 14.8 credits, I think is an amazing choice for anyone. Then we move not very far away to the top with Lesor from Partizan with 14 credits. As you see, he's giving 23.1 fantasy points average. So basically, Lesort is one-man show at center in Partizan, but he is that productive. So I think, is a good opportunity for him to perform again high level. Again, he played versus Olympiacos and he was productive in a home court that it's very the atmosphere can affect you in many ways. But he performed very well. So I think is another opportunity for him to play well this round. Um, Then we move to mid market. We again, for 10 credits, we cannot say no to Yusuf Afol. Basically, after Laverne's injury, he is the guy at 5 at the center position for Asvel. Of course, they signed Alex Tayos, but Yusuf Afol is the main guy. So I think he will have the time to bounce back and have a productive game for Villarban this round. And the other option that we suggest is, I think first time we mentioned this player in our suggestions, is from Real Madrid with 9.1 credits, is Cornellé. He is giving 6.9 fantasy points wise, but with the absence of Yabusele, I think he will get more points. You may see him on center position for fantasy, but he can play also at 4, and he can stretch the floor a bit like Yabusele does from the 3-point line. So I think he will get more minutes, especially. And if you see, he played only 10 minutes versus FS, but if you see all the rounds, he has 16, 13, 18, 15 minutes. So he's playing a lot. And now without Yabusele, he will need to step up as well.
Exactly. I think it's his big chance to show more. Of course, probably we'll have more playing time for the other center player. But yeah, let's give Cornele a chance here.
Mhm.
And finally, let's go for something very deep value, because we're gonna find him quite far in the credits here, quite low,
Mhm.
and that's Kuzmits.
That's Kuzmits, yeah.
So Kuzmits 6.1 credits. You know, this solution. He first of all, he was back, and he had actually a quality game. He had 9 points. He grabbed 6 rebounds, 1 assist in 19 minutes, and he had a difficult opponent. Right, he was playing against Fenerbahce in Turkey. So there is a risk here when you have a new coach that maybe some faces will get different playing time. Of course, that wouldn't be the case with Vildoza, but with Kuzmits, it may be the case here.
Mhm. And I have to mention, because we said about Lesort, we have to mention that Partizan signed Brodzianski. I think I'm saying correctly. He is at Euroleague Fantasy. They have it at center position. I think he's a center power forward. I think so. So they signed him so because he may get some playing time in the next game, and I think we'll get some time out of Lesort, but only for him to rest, because Lesort is playing big minutes all the season so far for Partizan.
True. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, with that we conclude all our suggestions for this round. So we can move on to actually our team results, the AlleyOopDunks. And I think I didn't rant about it a little bit earlier. The fact that Olinde was in our starting 5 and he suddenly we suddenly learn that he's not playing. It will be a DNP game for us. That hurts us. That hurts us a bit. We were number 14 in the stands last week. Now we kept ourselves in top 50. I think number 47, if I'm correct, and that is mainly because, again, we had the right selection of coach, and Vezenkov, our captain, he scored 55. Lesorti had a decent game. Misses a decent game, and James didn't really perform as we wanted. So as you can see, we only got 145.5 points. We didn't lose any credits. That is a good thing. We actually gained 0.9. And we have also fall that is usually given us quite better, only giving us 10 points. And then the bench, we have Delo actually performing quite well, and Lazarevic having a big role in his game in Turkey, but only giving 4 fantasy points. So all in all, slightly disappointing time for us last round. But this round, we are all about turning things around, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're definitely keeping our coach. Because we think he can keep on the winning ways. They're playing at home, as we said earlier. It was our solution for the top rank. It's not going to cost us anything because we've already paid for him. So there it goes. We have 9.7 Dimitrios Itoudis. And then I think going into the center, we were talking about the Motley factor, the Motley motor. And here he is. Welcome to our team. Follis has to finally go. I think he was uh, really great with us. We had him from the start, and he was amazing. But with the way Motley plays, we
It's a
have the
no-brainer. No-brainer.
exactly. It's a no-brainer. We have the ability to have an amazing center duo, Lesort Motley. So that's the center position. James, we said we think he bounced back and he will bounce back big, so we keep him in our team. Vezenkov, he's the player we have from the start as our captain, and he will be the case here. And then we mentioned at a point the whole story with Misic. I'm not sure if that will influence his game at all. So that's a factor for us that we thinking makes us want to step a little bit away, maybe test this week and see how he goes. And instead, we bring in the hot hand, Chris Jones. He was in the other team, so both Motley and Chris Jones performed very well in our deep value in the development team. So it was a time to get this, to get back to get on the A team.
Yeah, they got a promotion, both of them.
Exactly. And then we have to unfortunately give away Olinde because he's injured. Not much credit left. So the only solution we had on this deep market was pretty much Zusman. We couldn't get Sedekerskis. That would be our first option because he was more expensive. So Zusman is filling the team, and for this round we'll have to keep our bench as it was, and maybe there's something we will think on the next rounds how we're going to improve our bench players. But all in all, we're keeping our coach. We're swapping Motley for Fall. We're swapping Jones for Misic, and we're bringing Zusman for Olinde. And I think we have a very strong starting 5.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a very, as you said, especially the center position. I think we have the two best centers at the moment in Euroleague
Mm-hmm.
and fantasy-wise.
Exactly. So with that, should we go to our
Mm-hmm.
development team, the deep value team I mentioned earlier?
The development team.
So here it is. Konstantinos, you wanna?
Yeah, you see, for the deep value team, as you see, we had Motley, big factor, and Jones, and also Slukas. He was, I think, 55 is the same as many points as Vezankov gave to the main team. Then we had Sedekerskis again with 12. He was very decent. But then Vetzel gave us only 9. What hurt this team actually was the -5 from the coach. To be honest, because that's why it's important to have to select the right coach, not the best coach, but the right coach. Because if you get minus points, that means, for example, Slukas has 55, but then -5 you get 50 only, and that 5 may make a difference in this case. And from the bench and the 6th player, can you scroll down a bit?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we had Marinkovic. He gave 5. He was coming from a 16.5 game from Baskonia. Winston, as Bill said, didn't perform at his standard because Walden came up and then he did his own thing for Bayern. Musa did not have one of the best games like he had in Italy versus Armani again. Kumaji is on the downside, maybe fatigue issues, we don't know, but his playing time is also reduced, which is important to know. And then last, Andreas Obst. He had a nice game. He gave us 6.05 points from the bench for 50%. He had a decent game, as I said about Sedakerski, the same I will say about Obst with
Mhm.
12 points. Uh,
Yeah, all in all, I think our bench was okay. Wasn't the best, but actually all of the players gave us a point. So we get the 50%. So we did get 15 points from them. But if I go back to the point you made about the codes, the -5, actually, if you get a winning codes that you get you 10 points, the difference is not 5. You're actually down 15 points instead. So
mhm.
you're talking about the net of 15 points instead of -5. You'll be plus 10. Yeah. And then what do we do this week then?
So for this week, we changed coach Gonzalez and we brought Dusko Ivanovic, the newcomer in Euroleague, but an Euroleague veteran. So we have Dusko Ivanovic as a coach. We had to change Motley and Jones because we put them on the other team and we have the rule we cannot have common players. So on their place, we bring Papayanis, who is another player on the rise. He had a good game versus Baskonia with 22 points, fantasy wise. So another game versus Fenerbahce, difficult game, but I think he has the quality to step up again and be productive and give fantasy points. Then we instead of Jones, we brought Misic. We wanted to bring Misic here because he has a tough game versus Barcelona, but we could not bring any other player that's on the main team, for example, Mike James. So we brought Misic. I think he with Clyburn are the two main factors for FS. So, and he's playing home court, tough game versus Barcelona, but he has the quality definitely to step up and show his talent and quality again. And last but not least, another player we suggested is Webb, forward from Valencia. He had two very good games, the last two games, consecutive games, with wins also for Valencia. And we had to replace Wetzel from Alba, the forward from Alba. So overall, new coach, and in this team we did three changes. In the other team, I think we made only two changes. So we brought Papayanis from Motley. Motley is Motley. I know this. We may lose points eventually from this substitution, but then Message with Jones and Webb with Wetzel can cover this difference. And of course, the coach. The coach can give you the points you need in order to have great game in credits.
Hopefully, it's a tough game, but they're at home, and we know the power of Sverdas Vesta at home.
True.
So let's see. And as I said earlier, yeah, Misic is going to the development team. It's not a punishment, guys. We just need to see if he's still on his game and he's not, having any psychological impact from what happened this week.
Mhm.
And with that, I would just wanted also to say that yes, we did three changes on our main team as well, but one was the Olin problem.
Yeah,
Um,
yes, that's why. Yeah, it was a necessary change. A
exactly.
must.
And I
Uh,
think that concludes our episode for today. Thank you for everyone that stayed with us that long. And please, if you like what you see, give us a like and subscribe to our channel, and also follow us on Twitter. You can find all the info in the description below.
yes, and on Twitter we always post the latest information about injuries, any transfer news. You will find it in our Twitter. Thank you again, and have a good round.
And see you next time all. Bye
See you
bye.
next time. Bye. Peace.